Yes, folks, hello, welcome once again to MoDXtra Games and Collectibles. I'm Chris, this is my channel. Absolute pleasure to have you with me here today. And something a little bit different for today's video. You see, it's school holiday time. I've just been off for a week with my kids. They've been off school. And for a little day trip the other day, in between all this, basketball stuff and what have you, me and my son took a trip down to Stoke-on-Trent. We went to the Potteries Museum in Hanley, to be specific, where they've got an exhibition on at the moment called The Toys Strike Back. This is an exhibition of vintage toys, vintage Star Wars toys to be specific. You probably gathered from the name, The Toys Strikes Back, all from back in the 70s and 80s, as well as some replica props and things. It was just a little ramble out. Didn't take us very, very long. The exhibition's finished, sadly, so if my video today makes anyone interested in going, it's not there. But I did take some footage, I did grab some photos, and knowing that there's some vintage Star Wars fans out there that sort of circle my channel, I thought I'd share the footage with you. So sit back, relax, and enjoy my little tour of the exhibition at the Potteries Museum there. Quick legal disclaimer. I checked on the Potteries Museum website. I went to the Toy Strikes Back People's website. I went and had a look in, see if there's any small print, any kind of social media policy or anything with regards to sharing of footage. I couldn't find anything, so I think I'm in safe territory. The exhibition is finished at the Potteries Museum, so I'm not stealing money out of the museum's pocket or anything sharing this footage. So hopefully I'm in a good space, but we'll find out, I suppose. So yeah, sit back, relax, and let's take a look at some of the stuff that I saw there. So it was a cool little exhibition. They had the toys all in various displays centered around the sort of chronological order of the original trilogy films. And then sort of broken down into subsections around the sort of, the various acts within the movies. And then they had a few kind of posters and stuff up and some replica and reproduction items like some helmets and some weapons and things. Well, not all reproductions, actually. I'll show you a few bits that were actual screen-used production items, which I thought was pretty awesome as well. But I'll show you the toys first and then get into the replicas. And we're going to kick off with the first display, which was the New Hope Tatooine display. So here it is, starting us off. We've got the, this is the Land of the Jawas action playset from 1979. You can see just at the bottom corner over there, I was just making notes off the little cards. A lot of it was just flavor text, Luke and Obi-Wan encounter the Jawas, yada, yada, yada. But had a bit of information. So this is Kenner. In fact, most of the stuff is Kenner going forward in the display. But yeah, got your Luke and your Obi-Wan and your little 3D card fold-out sandcrawler. They had the box and the instructions there as well, look, which was thought was kind of cool. I think I go across the top shelf here. Yeah, then the Creature Cantina action playset. Of course, infamous, the Creature Cantina playset. We'll have a look at it in a second. Here's the sand speeder, the land speeder there. I remember the one that I had when I was a kid was had a Luke with it, but this one doesn't have a Luke with it. Maybe some vintage Star Wars toy historians out there can let me know in the comments, but I suspect there was probably a later release that included the figure that I had, because 1979 is a bit early for me to have sort of action play toys of this nature, so I probably picked it up later on. And then moving on to the dewback, I think it is, the patrol dewback with the stormtrooper on its back there, which is nice to see. And then if I move across, here we go, here's the Cantina action playset. Well, this, of course, is infamous, as I mentioned before, because, of course, it's got Hammerhead in it, later retconned to be Momau Nadom. And then we've got the Greedo there in the big green jumpsuit. And as legend goes, at least I think, maybe I saw this on the Toys That Made Us documentary or something, that they were operating off black and white production stills from set, which is why the colour schemes of the uniforms, like the green there, and you can't see Hammerhead over there very well behind Luke, but he's got like a blue thing going on, was because they were guessing the colours, which is cool. So yeah, of course, the infamous Hammerhead misnomer on the Ithorian there. Anything else on this scene? I don't think so. I think I just sort of dwell on the action playset for a little bit there, eyeing it up. I'm talking to my son right now, who stood next to me and telling him about how the lightsabers came out of the arms. Okay, I've just realised I've loaded my videos in the wrong order, because the next video I've got is the Tantive 4 corridor display, which of course should have been the first thing going in chronological order, but they had this lovely little diorama piece with the Tantive 4 corridor here with a layer loading in the message to R2-D2 there. I don't know if that's a toy set. I didn't make any notes off the little card there. And then a load of rebel troopers all getting, battered and fucked up by the stormtroopers and Vader there. Interestingly enough, I don't think these are original vintage figures. These look to me like the, the vintage collection from Hasbro there, just because of the kind of the way they're sculpted. Vader's got a lightsaber that goes into his hand rather than the classic one that comes out from the forearm there and stuff. So I think these are vintage collection. I've not paid a lot of attention to Hasbro's vintage collection, but I'm pretty sure that's what's going on there. But cool little diorama piece, just kind of showing off that initial Tantive 4, the boarding of Tantive 4 by the Imperials to capture Leia. Continuing with A New Hope then, let's have a look at the next bit of footage here. Oh, so this one's interesting. Got the X-Wing here. Hang on, let me just get a better freeze on it. There you go. So the X-Wing and pilot from 1978, it said on the card there. At least that's the note I scribbled down. But this isn't an X-Wing from 1978 because it's got the battle damage on it. And I'm pretty sure, and again, some vintage Star Wars toy collector historians might tell me otherwise, but the battle damage decals were a later release for Return of the Jedi, because I had that one. That's the one I had. I didn't have the earlier one without the battle damage on it. So I might be incorrect. Again, I'm no expert in vintage Star Wars toys. Some of you will be watching this video being like, oh my God, shut up. You don't know what you're talking about. But I'm pretty sure that's not the original X-Wing from 1978 as it advertised on the card. So I got them. Even me managed to get out-knowledge them. Anyway, moving on. So we've got a little reproduction of the medal from the awards ceremony there. And then in the background here, this is fun. They had a clapperboard, and it said on the little info card on the display that this clapperboard is from 1976, the 7th of June, 1976. Oh, obviously, because it says it on the clapperboard. Original production-used clapperboard, and this was for the scene where Luke and Han get decked up as stormtroopers and board the Death Star, is what it said on the little card at the bottom there. So, original production-used item. Oh, I'll tell you what else as well. If I just go forward a little bit, I didn't get good footage of it here, and I should have got better footage of it, but you can see that we've got the Imperial troop transport there. So you see a bit from this side, and then when I go over the other side of the display camera, you can see it from the other side, but I didn't actually pause on it. But that's, of course, kind of created. It wasn't at that time a, in canon lore vehicle that appeared in any of the movies. It's not until later on, where I think it turned up in the Rebels cartoon, I want to say. The Rebels cartoon, and then did it not turn up in Mandalorian as well? Isn't there a scene with the Gina Carano's character in The Mandalorian where they're raiding a place and there's a fight with some transports in a canyon? I've only ever watched it once. But I thought that was fun. That was cool. Obviously with the sound effects from the button, the black version of R2-D2. But yeah, sorry, I didn't take a good shot of that. But interesting that they were coming up with their own concept. Cracking on then, I think I move up to the top row now, and we've got a couple of TIE fighters here. This is the Return of the Jedi battle-damaged TIE fighter there. And then, of course, Vader's TIE from the end of A New Hope. Moving across, we've then got the Darth Vader collector case, space for 31 figures and 2 secret pouches for accessories, or whatever it says. Whatever it said on the thing there. You can also see my son's reflection in the window as I'm pointing things out and going, oh, I had one of them and I had one of these. Oh, dear. And, of course, finally, the centerpiece of any New Hope vintage toy display. We've got a Millennium Falcon there. Looks like with the stormtroopers and the pilots, they were trying to evoke the when the Millennium Falcon gets tractor beamed into the Death Star with the ramp down and stuff there. So super, super cool. That's from 1979. Oh, and you can just see behind me here the front bit of the Imperial transport as well. And that's it. I think that wraps up. But yeah, that wraps up New Hope. Let's move on to Hoth. For anyone that's interested, the Hoth battle scene, that opening act of Empire Strikes Back, is probably my all-time favourite section of Star Wars. I was loving this one, and I had loads of Hoth vintage toys, so there's a few times where you see my camera dwelling on various sections of the displays because I'm talking to my son next to me, either making cheesy quotes from the movie or telling him about how I used to play with them. Me and his uncle used to get them out on the living room carpet and such like. Anyway, let's show you the toys. That's what you're here for. Let's get into it. So getting us started, this is the, let's have a look now, the Turret and Probot Action playset, 1980 there. Obviously the Probot, later known as the Probe Droid. Fun kind of plastic molded thing with the cannon and the Probe Droid and whatnot in there. Then I think, do I move up now? Yeah, I move up to the other playset. This is called the Imperial Attack playset. I don't remember this one from when I was a kid, but again, that molded plastic kind of setup there. Got some snow gear, winter gear, Rebel troopers set up in there, obviously, again, to evoke that scene, to reenact that scene where they're preparing for the AT-ATs making their way across. Then I slide over to the T-47 Snowspeeder here. This was from Check's Notes, 1980. I love the T-47s. I think they're awesome. And then down onto the Hoth Wampa. Oh, I'll pause on this one for a minute because this one was interesting. This is the one and possibly only Palatoy item I noticed. You can see it there in the bottom corner of the packaging, which I thought was interesting because, as I mentioned at the top of this section, most everything was from Kenner. Most everything was Kenner product, but this one here was the one that I clocked with the Palatoy symbol on it. But there you go. There's your Wampa and your Taunton. You'll see me pointing at the Taunton in a minute, I think, because I'm saying to my son, and I thought they smelled bad on the outside. Just doing my fatherly duty to embarrass him while we're in a public space with people around us, because that's my right and that's my duty. Moving over, got the tripod and blaster there with the Snow Trooper. Is that called an E-Web now? And then we've got another action playset. This one was the Rebel Command Center from 1981. This was a Sears exclusive, which is possibly why I have little recollection. With a lot of fun. It's got some action engagement pieces, like you can swivel your R2-D2 about and things. Got the hangar bay from the Hoth Echo base there, which is cool. Then moving up a little bit onto the second row, we've got two big AT-ATs, along with a Luke on his grapple there, ready to lightsaber its belly and chuck a grenade in. Thermal detonator, doing his thing. Good job, Luke. And, here we go. And then finally, we've got a Julian Groves autograph, which is, of course, the actor who played General Veers in that opening scene. He, was in charge of the AT-ATs and the soldiers. So that's the first Hothy bit, but there's some more Hothy stuff, actually. Let me load up the next vid. So we've got another Hoth playset here, which is the Ice Planet playset, with the cardboard fold-out AT-AT in the background there. Then this one, I don't recognise this at all, and what I didn't do, I neglected to make any notes from the little info card. So I was scribbling stuff down. I've got my notes here on my iPad. I was scribbling stuff down. Didn't take any bloody notes for this section. Now, I recognise this vehicle. This is an MTV7, I want to say. And I remember owning that, but I don't remember owning the cardboard diorama background and the plastic molded base. So I don't know if they've just thrown something together here with several pieces or not. Again, a call out to the vintage Star Wars toy historians out there who can maybe let me know in the comments down below. But still looks awesome. Doesn't it look cool? I remember having one of those though. I don't remember having the other bits. But again, I came into the toy line a little bit later. I was perhaps still a bit too young definitely too young when they first came out. So I came to the line later. So, they did re-releases and new packages and stuff. I could have just bought a later version, In any case, carrying on the display stand, this little Hoth escape bit here, we can see the Rebel transport. Oh, hang on. I'm dwelling on this, talking to my son going, I had one of those, but I don't remember having the bit behind. Moving on to the Rebel transport here, this is from 1982. I had one of these too. Loved this. The top opens up, although why they've not got the two open sections showing off that, I don't know in the exhibition, but opened up and you could sit your troopers and people in it. But yeah, finishing up with the Rebel transport there. They had some more Empire Strikes Back stuff, and now moving into Act 2 and Act 3 from the movie. Jeremy Bulloch autograph on the wall there, although who hasn't got a Jeremy Bulloch autograph? Here's my Star Wars Decipher Star Wars CCG Boba Fett Bounty Hunter card from the Reflections 3 set, autographed by Jeremy Bulloch there. I don't know if you can see that in the gold writing. So who hasn't got a Jeremy Bulloch autograph? You know what I mean? Showing off. Then we've got the Cloud Car, or the Twin Pod as it said on the thing with from 1980. Then onto the Cloud City playset, which was kind of cool, with an Ugnaught and the Carbonite chamber, and you got Lobot and Lando. That wasn't the deal. Han and Leia. I don't know why Dengar's on there. I mean, obviously he featured in the film, but he wasn't the guy at Cloud City. It should be a Boba Fett, shouldn't it, in there? But that's cool nonetheless. And then moving over, this was a whole new. I've never seen this before myself. Collectors are probably very well aware of it, but over here in a second, once I've finished dwelling on that playset and talking to my son about it, here you go. This is let's get a better pause. There you go. This was Vader's Star Destroyer playset from 1980. I'd never seen this before. Folks are probably laughing at me like, oh, everybody's seen that. But I'd never seen this before. So he got like his little recuperation thing for Vader from the Executor there. Some Imperial commanders, obviously the bounty hunters all lined up like Forlom and Bosk and IG-88 and that in that scene where he hires them to find Han Solo. There's a Boba Fett at the back there, and at this moment now you can see me dwelling on the Boba Fett a minute because I'm saying to my son, "Oh, look at that Boba Fett! Is that a rocket launcher, rocket backpack Boba Fett there? Look at the condition of these. You know, I'm just." Giving it all that. And the Dagobah action playset, there's the box. Let's move down to it's a bit further below. Here we go. With the sinking sand action for R2-D2 there, and Luke meeting Vader at the cave in the background. The Slave 1, which on the display information, it called it Slave 1, because I know there's some controversy about that. This set's from 1981. I used to have one of these, played with this a lot. But mine was battered, and the panel was missing at the side, the window off the canopy for the cockpit was missing. Mine was totally fucked up. But yeah, that's really cool to see. And then they've got a little scene showing Boba Fett loading up the frozen Han into the back, like in the movie, which was really cool. A second really great condition Boba Fett there. And then a cheeky little bit of Hoth still in this display. Must have just run out of room in the other one with the little blaster cannon there. And then finally, we've got a Yoda. Let's get a better pause on it. A Yoda hand puppet from 1980. Look at the condition on that. That looks to me like it's never been worn on a hand and used, but I'd never seen one of them before either. So that was kind of fun and interesting. I think also there's another autograph in this one. I'm going to hit play again. I'm going to look at the whole display. There it is over there. Do I go on it? Yeah, I do. There you go. That's Dave Prowse as Darth Vader. It even says on it, Dave Prowse is Darth Vader. So that was it for Empire Strikes Back. Moving on to Return of the Jedi now, and kicking off with the Act 1 kind of display of Return of the Jedi at Jabba's Palace. So we've got a Rancor and Keeper, it said, from 1983. His name's, Maliki? Then a little, this is called the ISP-6 from 1983 with the Emperor and the couple of Royal Guard there and the Imperial Commander, with a very small version of the shuttle. Then over to the Jabba the Hutt action playset with various kind of Jabba's Palacey people. You can see the band there, and like Snoover and the Gamorrean guards and the Weequay guards and whatnot. What are those fish guys called? The Aqualish. Of course, with Jabba on there. I used to have this as a kid, but I don't remember having all that cardboard McGubbins at the background. I just remember having Jabba on his thing on the wheels. There you go. Ah, look at this. I've never seen this before. The Chewbacca bandolier strap. I'll just move myself over a bit. How could you, the coolest kid on the block if you had this, surely the coolest kid on the block. Holds 10 figures and got 2 accessory pouches. Strap this on, trek on down the road to go see your mates. Guaranteed not to get beaten up. Just people bowing down to you on the street, considering you the coolest kid on the block. Surely. Then there was you can see some card backs in the background there for various figures and such like. Some of them in really good condition, actually. Some of the card backs there. And then finishing up on a skiff, a Sarlacc pit. No, the skiff from the Sarlacc pit with a black uniform. Luke Skywalker there. One-man skiff with the packaging in the background. That's from Check's Notes, 1984. Of course, no Return of the Jedi vintage toy display would be complete without a full mint condition Ewok village. Look at this, with a load of figures as well chucked in to give it some flavour and some embellishment, retelling the story of those scenes there. Fun little fact they had on the card there, although I did know this already. This mould was reused by Kenner. for a Sherwood Forest set in 1991 for Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves. They just put some leaves on the top of the trees, which I thought was a fun fact, but I actually knew that fact already. But yeah, look at this. Not a piece missing. Got all the original strings and shit and everything. Outstanding. How do people keep this all these years? Then this little Endor battle scene, you can see some like forest green rebel troopers, the Ewok figures in there, the catapult, the little glider where they're dropping the stones, a couple of speeder bikes with scout troopers on them, an ATST with its driver and things, which is nice to see. These were all dated 1983, according to the card at the bottom there. And then finally, for Return of the Jedi, we had this little display with the Y-Wing in it. And then a couple of characters here. So you've got the General Kriegsmarine, the R5D4, the Admiral Akbar. Here's a drop! And then Yen Nub, the Anakin Skywalker ghost figure there. And then round the other side, which I'll go to in a second. Come on, Chris. Again, some of this footage is longer than it needs to be because I'm chatting to my son and talking through the display and things. Got the pilots. A couple of pilots there, and the Leia there. I must admit, little bit disappointed with this section because you're like, where's the A-wing? You know what I mean? Where's the B-wing bomber and stuff? There could have been a much more interesting display for one of the most significant Star Wars events, the Death Star 2 space battle. They had loads of Endor stuff with Ewok Village and things, but just this here, I don't know if they run out of room or the collector whose collection they've used, which I asked one of the staff members, they told me this had come from Scotland, this collection. So maybe I know some of you folks are like deeply embedded in the vintage toy collecting space. You might even know the collector and perhaps could tell me, but yeah, this was one bit that was a wee bit disappointing because I was like, well, one Y-wing and a few kind of Endor battle people could have been a bit better, but I'm nitpicking. So that's it on the vintage toys front. They did have some board games there, but I'll confess, hold my hands up, I messed the footage up. It's not very good. It's not really usable. But as I mentioned earlier, there were some like replicas and reproduction weapons and helmets and things. Well, not all just replicas and reproductions, but I'll give you a quick sneaky peek at those. So we've got the AT-AT driver helmet here. This is a replica. Then the Scout Trooper helmet here. This is a replica. They've got this is cool. So moving on, there's a C-3PO mask that I'm about to move on to. Go on, Chris. There you go. So this is a Don Post Studios mask, which some folks may be familiar with. One little history fact there. Some of you probably already know this, but Don Post Studios famous for their Halloween masks and whatnot from the 70s. This was dated 1977, according to the card. But the Michael Myers from the Halloween films is a William Shatner Captain Kirk mask that had been fucked up and melted. There you go. Wonder if you knew that. Let me know in the comments down below if you did, or if it's an apocryphal tale and I've just believed a thing that's not true. In any case, moving on with the cabinet then. So talking to my son about the C-3PO mask here, and then moving over, we've got the Snowtrooper reproduction. This is a replica as well. But then finally, if I hurry up and move over, here we go. We've got a Stormtrooper helmet here. Let me just pause on that. And this was an on-screen, screen-used production asset, Stormtrooper helmet. The card said there was 56 in total used for A New Hope, and this was one of the ones that was used in the hero scenes, I think it said, which would indicate that perhaps this was one of the ones, when Han and Luke are dressed up as stormtroopers and going through the Death Star. So that was super cool. The others were replicas, reproductions, but this was an actual original screen-used production asset, which was nice. And that wasn't the only original screen-used production asset they had there, because they also had these, a couple of Stormtrooper thigh pieces, original screen-used production assets from filming The Mandalorian, with loads of like blaster damage and stuff across them. In fact, me and my son are having a good natter about the blaster damage on these right now and discussing what scene from the show they could have been from. And then onto the weapons. So this is a replica of Luke's blaster pistol. However, this one here, the Imperial Stormtrooper E11 blaster, let me just pause there. You can see it says on the info card, is an original screen-used production asset there. So there's a Stormtrooper who held that in A New Hope in 1977. which is super cool. But they did also have a replica E11, I think, as I move across, if I remember right. It's only a couple of days ago. My memory's not that bad. Oh no, here we go. We've got the, it's in the background there, but I'm taking a look at the Royal Guard sabre thing here first. Force pike. And then there's the replica one at the top there. And then moving around to the other side of the cabinet, we had a Boba Fett carbine here. Then there's a Darth Vader lightsaber. Again, I'm pretty sure they said it was a replica, not a production asset. There. And then finally, a little Scout Trooper pistol at the end here. There you go. So there you go. That's it, folks, for my little walkthrough of my time at the Pottery Museum and Art Gallery for the Toys Strikes Back exhibition there. They did have a few other bits. Like I said, they had some board games. There were some costumes, but they were all replicas. And the photos I took were with me and my son. And you'll forgive me for not wanting to put photos of my son up on the YouTube channel so readily. And also, various posters and drape displays with just various information about Kenner and such like on it. So I didn't take many photos of that, I'm sorry to say. But that's it. There's my little walkthrough. So keep an eye out. According to the little thing that I got, it says it's a touring exhibition. Again, I'll reiterate, I've checked the website. I asked the staff at the museum, was this allowed? Could I take video footage? Could I use it on my YouTube channel? I can't find anything, no policies or anything. And the staff of the museum were like, yeah, go ahead. So I hope I'm okay. But please do, if it is touring, go and take a look for yourself. It's really great just to be there and see them, in front of your own eyes. Take your kids. Me and my son spent ages in there just talking about my time when I was his age, which was nice father-son bonding experience. So highly recommended if it comes to your area sometime soon. But that's it. Thanks for watching, folks. Hope you enjoyed that little walk through there. If you're not already subscribed, then subscribe. Blah, 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 blah. Do all the YouTube stuff for me. It really helps. But yeah, come back for another video sometime soon, folks. All right, take it easy. Have a great day.